Hello, sweet angels of the internet, and welcome to 2025 at the Purple Palace. I feel like I have so much to share with you guys and ways that we can encourage each other this year. I feel like this year is our year. It's gonna be the year of not playing it small, of being weirder, being a bigger freak, taking up more space. And I feel like the best part of all of this is that it's gonna be fun. You know what I mean? I feel like we oftentimes think in life that for something to be worthy to be achieved, it must be difficult. But actually, the more fun you're having, the more playful you are being, that is an elevated state of self. You know, so I'm gonna be talking about that in this video and how we can change our lives this year. I feel like it's always daunting at the beginning of every year, and I was talking about this on my podcast, because there's this pressure to hurry up and set all of our goals. But something that I really like to do is ease into the new year. Like, I'll take like the first week just to sort of think about and reflect, which is what I did. And I'm gonna be sharing with you some thoughts that I've had, as well as some things that are helping me level up and that I think could help you as well. But first, I just wanted to let you guys know that as I'm going to be talking a lot about journaling in this video, and as I have journaled, I wanted to do something a little special in this video. As a lot of you guys know, I have an affirmation journal series that I put out last year. It's something that I'm super proud of, and so for the month of January, I'm actually offering a big discount on my journals. So if you want to start out the new year with an encouraging journal, I recently put out the Create and Destroy journal, and then this is another one that I really like that's pretty. It doesn't have text on it, but it's I Know Where I Belong journal. So if you did want to get a beautiful journal for the new year, I will link that down below. It's going to be the whole month of January. So you might be surprised, but it's actually like 2 a.m. right now, and I'm on a kind of weird sleep schedule because I went to the US for Christmas to visit my family, and they're 6 hours behind, and so I've been staying up really late and then getting up very late. But I feel like it's been a really good sort of shake up to my creativity. And I've actually heard that it's in the middle of the night when the world is its most quiet that sometimes we can be the most connected to our creativity. But yeah, anyway, I feel like I have a whole new bitch, you know what I mean? Like this new year, I got home and I have not seen people in a few days. I just wanted to do a reset, and I set up my painting studio at home. I feel like that's something, and I'll talk about this more later in the video, but let's just fucking get into it, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like the last half of 2024, I didn't even realize it, but I feel like I was in a really bad place, and I didn't realize it until I came home from being in the US, and I realized that these last 4 or 5 months when I was home in Paris, I was incapable of sitting in silence. I would always have to have a podcast on. I would always have to be listening to music, and I think that surprisingly last year was a very difficult year, but I didn't realize it while it was happening. I think that sometimes in life emotions come up, and we are led to reflect on certain things in our life without even knowing it. And I think that the silence to me was actually very hurtful. Like if I had any sort of silence, I felt a lot of anxiety. I'm somebody that in life, I love my alone time, but I think last year I really tried to push myself in creative collaborations and in friendships, and I think that actually there's a lot of trauma that I had to get over, and so being in silence actually brought that up for me. But since I've been back from the US, something that I've been doing that I also think that is really important, and probably the most important thing for anyone to implement as a creative person, is being able to be present in silence. And it's uncomfortable because we're so used to having all these hits of dopamine all the time. For example, when I used to work out, I'd always be listening to music. But the problem is when you have a steady stream of dopamine all the time, you don't get these highs either when something really great happens, because you're sort of at a baseline of dopamine. So yeah, I've been allowing myself to sit in silence, and that is always, obviously, when you get new creative ideas. Like, how do you expect yourself to have good ideas when you don't even let your brain breathe? You're consuming all the time. So in the last few weeks with the new year, I've just been allowing myself in the morning to be in complete silence. And something that I'll do is, first thing in the morning, is I'll journal, or I will put on my dictaphone and I'll just talk to myself as if I'm like my best friend, because bitch, I am. I can always count on myself. But that's actually one of the first things that I wanted to talk about, is how I'm changing this year around self-care, and so I don't find myself in a situation like the last few months of 2024, when I didn't even realize at what point I was numbing myself out, numbing my feelings out. I truly believe that if you're making a spiritual effort now, every area of your life will improve. And I've always been someone that's super goal-oriented. But when I was talking to my friend about what I wanted from this year, I think I truly just want to feel at peace. And one of the ways I feel like you can do this is by creating a dopamine list, things that bring you joy that aren't necessarily going on your phone. For example, I recently got a harmonica, and I got the headset for it and everything, and so I'll play my harmonica and play my piano. Even like wearing this crown. Okay, so I went to the boulangerie this afternoon to get a croissant, and a tradition that they have in France is the galette de roi, which is around New Year's you eat this cake, and the person that finds this little thing in the middle gets the crown. But I don't like that cake, and so I was in the boulangerie and I was like, hey, can I just buy that from you? And he was like, why? And I was like, because I just want it. And he was like, but what for? And I was like, I just want it to wear it. Like, I want it for myself. And he's like, I'll just give it to you. And so I was just walking around with my crown, eating my croissant, and those are moments of fun and joy, and that to me is self-care. Like, for me, it's always been really important to tap into that fun, playful energy. And so on that note, I think like creating novelty and creating romance in your life is a way to make your own life beautiful. Like, if you can't find beauty in the small things, for example, I got this little candelabra, and whenever I do anything, oh, I actually have this new tradition where if I'm working out or doing something kind for myself, I have this black candle that I put on, and it's like my black candle of feminine energy. And I'll put that on, and yeah, like this last week I would just put on my headphones and walk to a cafe and read my book, and that to me is success. You know what I mean? And that was something that I started realizing last year as well. Like, I've just struggled, I think, since I finished art school, with balancing all of the things that I enjoy doing, for example, music and my art. And I think that it's important that we realize that when we grow and we expand, that we're going to experience growing pains. Anytime that you expand, you know, your inner world, your outer world also has to adjust to that. And I think it's also important not to throw any part of yourself away. For example, I realized this last year that I really missed my art practice. Like, I missed my painting, I missed having an art studio. So a big goal of mine this year is to get another art studio. I mean, I can work from home, but it's just difficult, you know, like my fucking kitchen is an art studio right now. It's not the vibe. I think ask yourself, what feels good to you? Like, what this last year made you feel most alive? Who made you feel most alive? In what ways were you selling yourself short or you know, playing it small. For example, I just was talking about my art practice. Like, it's not because now I also do music that I can't continue my art practice. I feel like, I think in life we want to put people in boxes and we want to say like, oh, she does this or she does that, when in reality you can do it all. It's not just because that bitch can't do it all that you can't do it all. We can do it all. We're gonna do it all. Now I just want to talk about something that has really been changing for me lately, and it's allowing myself to be weirder, to be more of a freak, to be especially with what I share online, like my content online, especially like on my Instagram and my creative endeavors. I think what we actually all really want is raw connection with other people. Like, we want to see the moment when somebody fucked up. Like, we want to see the moment when somebody was making something and it didn't go as planned, or like that moment when they realized, oh, like this is something interesting. And that's what I love about filming creative experimentations, is it's in the moment. And for example, when you put out like a finished song or a finished painting, that is like a product that is finished and in a little bow, but everything that becomes before that, I think, is the most interesting part. And I wrote down this quote, which is, what you lose from expressing your fullest, most authentic self is not a loss, it's alignment. And I think that's really encouraging as creatives, or just people in general moving in the world, that it's so important to be polarizing. It's so important to be one way or the other, I think, because when you're in the middle, you're not getting people who really care either way. For example, if you make something and it's really like a crazy reflection of who you are on the inside, your people are really going to relate to that thing. Or if you make something that is sort of watered down to please the masses, no one is going to be crazy about it. No one's going to love it that much, you know? Like, I know, for example, when I post things, like, I come off so weird sometimes, but I know that there's some people that feel my soul so deeply, and I think that's the most important thing to me in this life, is for me to make something and for people to feel it really deeply, you know? Also, on that note, being open to trying new things and changing the routine up. I had this roommate, God, when I was like 19, and she said something really profound. She said, if you are unhappy 3 days in a row, you need to make a change. And I think that that's something I actually really want to implement in my channel this year, is I want to take us on dates together, me and you. I think that we need each other, you know? Like, I think that I would be, it's like you're my house guest, and I'm more inspired to take you out with me to explore new places in Paris, to take us on adventures together. I used to do that all the time, and then this last year, moving into this apartment, I really felt like I was, it's not that I wasn't as inspired, but it was just, I was just moving into this new chapter and transitioning, and so I really want to, this next year, take us out together. A really big lesson this last year is being open to trying something different and being wrong about things, you know, and blowing things up to watch it burn, and like a, you know, the create and destroy, or the create and destroy vibe, you know what I mean? Actually, I didn't know if I was gonna share this, but whatever, I don't care. For example, around relationships as well, for so long I thought that I had this type, like I thought that I wanted this type of person who was an artist and who was like me, basically, you know? I was like, I wanted the male version of me. And then when I went home for Christmas, crazy story, this is like a Netflix Hallmark special, my sister dragged me to this Christmas party, and I started talking to this guy there who's totally not my type, Like, we would never have been friends in high school, but it ended up being really good. Like, we ended up seeing each other again, and it ended up really being really good, and it made me realize, oh my god, I was really closed off to a certain type of person. For a long time, I just had this idea about who I was, what I liked, and had I not allowed myself to go on this Christmas adventure Hallmark movie, it's so funny because my mom watches all my videos and she doesn't even know about this. But yeah, anyway, it's funny, this year I don't really have like huge specific results goals. You know what I mean? And I actually don't think it's healthy to do so because, for example, a lot of things are out of our control. But what I do really want is to every day wake up and feel a sense of self-trust with myself, a feeling of self-love, a feeling of I bring out the best in people and I have actual genuine love for people. You know, when I was talking about this in my last video, but I truly, something that has helped me so much is when I walk down the street and I see someone, I tell myself, I love this person, I love this person, I love this person. Or I'll work on my self-concept and I'll say, I am a breath of fresh air. I am a breath of fresh air. I love myself. And a lot of people, I feel like most people that I meet, unfortunately, have a subtle sadness inside of them, a subtle brokenness, because they think that by being realistic, by being, I don't want to say jaded, but by having this energy of cynicism, that it makes them evolved in some way, when in reality, a lot of people think I have my head in the clouds, but that's only done really great things for me, I'm telling you guys. Me having a sort of romantic, almost like sensual view of the world, like just taking time to appreciate things, you know, that I think is not only, it's not that it's harder to do, but it's a harder choice to make in a world where everyone's telling you like, this isn't possible, your dreams aren't possible. But I just want to encourage you this year to show up for yourself and be your biggest fucking cheerleader. Like, there is no one in the world who believes in your dreams as much as you're going to, because if you don't, then no one else is going to. You know what I mean? And whatever it takes for you to get there. For example, if you have to wear a crown on your head, if you have to walk down this street and smile at strangers, whatever it takes for you to get there, because truly the universe loves playful energy. You know what I mean? And that playfulness attracts others and it just brings you up and lifts you higher. And that's why I'm always like, whenever something sparks my fancy or whenever something seems like fun to me, I start doing it. For example, I'm like seriously into harmonica now. Why? Because it sounds like fun to me. And I think that that is the way to really change your life this year, is by tapping in to that playfulness and funness around yourself. Create an aura around yourself. You know what one of my favorite things to do is? To watch actually on YouTube is when you watch those actresses round tables, because it's really interesting. You have the most beautiful women in the world sitting in a circle together and you just see how they interact, you know, and sometimes they're nervous, but you can see the ones that are comfortable with themselves and have an aura. You guys should watch the last one with Angelina Jolie in it, because she just has an aura. She doesn't even say much, but she just sits there. It's not even about her beauty, because they're all beautiful. But the way she just is, she takes her time, and that is feminine energy. I think people get confused a lot about feminine versus masculine energy, thinking that feminine energy, like, you can not shave your legs and still be feminine. You know what I mean? Like, you can, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean being a princess, although it can be that as well. Feminine energy is making choices from a place of love and not fear. and creation comes from that, you know? Success comes from that, because that is an energy that attracts others, you know? And I think a lot of us, myself included, I used to think that I had to be like this boss bitch, and I had to be like cold, and this is years ago. It's like a month ago. I'm just kidding. But you can set boundaries and be soft, you know? Like, you can tell somebody that hurt your feelings and still be stoic. You can show that you have certain soft spots, but those soft spots don't have to be weaknesses. You know what I always say, like, vulnerability is your superpower. And I think that is my number one goal this year, is to stay in that energy, to be in that beautiful, beautiful energy, because there's nothing better than that, than to feel like when you wake up in the morning, you aren't afraid to be alive. I just want you to remember this year, and I'm gonna remember it myself, that whatever little spark of joy you have, whatever direction you want to go in that. Take up as much space as possible, and it doesn't mean that you have to be like walking on other people. It just means you're a flower and you're blooming, and obviously you're going to be taking up space because you were born to do that, and by shining brightly, you're inspiring others. You know, you're put on earth to follow your dreams, you know? And a lot of times you can be in a position where you're like, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I just want to say that it's not your job to know all of the details about how things are going to work out. Like I said, if you are making a spiritual effort, if you're journaling, if you are being kind to yourself, you're being kind to others, then you're going to see an improvement in your life. So yeah, I am going to read my book now. That's been something I've really been enjoying, is reading fiction before bed, or even I'll just sit on the floor and stare off into space for an hour, you know? Like, I enjoy that, because then that's where I get all of these ideas and stuff. So yeah, I just love you guys so much, and I'm really excited for what this channel is going to be this year. I want to take us on adventures. I want to include you in the new projects I'm working on. This is an actual concrete goal, is to get an art studio, because I just, why shouldn't I have one? I want one. I want it. I got it. Okay. I love you guys. If you want to get a beautiful journal, I will leave a link down in the description below. And no more playing it small this year. Expand. Be consistent. That's something I wanted to touch on, but I didn't, is just be consistent. For example, it's not so much about always sharing your best. We want to see your crumpled up pieces of paper. And that's why I try to post an Instagram reel every week of my experimentations, and they're not always the best, but I just want to connect to the people who want to feel and see me. Yeah, so yeah, thank you for being here. I love you guys so much, and remember, you are put on earth to follow your dreams, and I believe in you. Bye!